In this edition of Talk Mortgage to Me, Christine Wilson is back. She is a top producer. She works out of the Central Florida market for the mortgage firm where she is a producing branch manager. And in this segment, Chris and I are going to jump into the truth about appraisals. What happens when an appraisal comes in low? Can you order a second appraisal? And what really does an appraisal mean? And Chris, you just had a scenario that you're telling me about, right? It sounds like it was a home up in North Carolina that you were financing. And what happened to that particular situation? Like, what was the purchase price? What happened with the first appraisal? And what did you do in order to navigate that appraisal issue?
Well, first, if you are an originator that originates outside your state and you don't have people on your list, I would say the number one thing is, and we made a mistake, we kind of forgot to do this on this one, I'll admit that, but we typically, once we go outside of our area, we will ask the listing agent and the buyer's agent for at least a couple of appraisers to put on our list that are local in that area. Okay. That's key, because if you don't have local appraisers and they're sending somebody from an hour and a half away, that is no good. And that is exactly what happened in this scenario.
Let me slow this down real quick for the audience. The home buyers that are tuning in because they like this type of content, they're looking to purchase a home and they use this to educate themselves. A home appraisal is different than a home inspection. Home appraisals are ordered by your lender when you're obtaining financing. And home appraisals basically tell you and the lender approximately what the home is worth based on today's market conditions, right? So because this is ordered by the lender, lenders have very specific rules that we have to follow as it pertains to how we order it. We can't just call our best friend's uncle's cousin and be like, hey bro, here's $500, go appraise this home. After the financial crash of 2008, there were new laws put in place that protect consumers, and we as lenders follow them. However, a top producing originator like Chris, her home market is Central Florida. However, Chris, you can finance homes in how many different states are you currently licensed?
9.
Yeah. So she carries her license in 9 different states, North Carolina being one of them. However, she doesn't know North Carolina like the back of her hand the way that she does all parts of the greater Orlando area. Therefore, with this home being purchased in North Carolina, the appraiser needs to be a local appraiser. And she just shared with any originator tuning in, before you go doing home loans in states or in areas that you don't typically do, make sure you have a competent appraiser. Yes. And get that competent appraiser added to your appraisal panel. That appraisal panel and that competent list more than likely should have been by asking the listing agent who they recommend, as well as the buyer's representative who they recommend. You all in this situation didn't do that.
No, we forgot.
You rolled the dice.
No, we just forgot. I'll be honest with you. We just slipped our mind.
Okay.
We had done it in the past. It's a rule of ours to do, and we just forgot to do it. I don't know why this time.
All right. So then
happens.
What price did you pay?
So we got the appraisal in, and the guy admittedly was like, I'm not really that familiar with this area. And I was like, and so.
And you took the order.
Yeah.
Right?
They're purchasing the home. I think it's actually 1.2 is what they're purchasing the home for.
Okay. So 1.2 million.
Yeah. The appraisal came in at 900.
Ooh.
$300,000.
$300,000.
Low.
Almost 25% low.
Luckily, we had an appraiser that didn't some appraisers will not admit this, but he admitted that he was outside of his league. Okay. Thank goodness, because I think that helped. And he also refused to do any more work on the appraisal for our underwriting team, which there's a lot of things that have to happen after the appraisal comes in from underwriting. And he basically said, no, I'm all done.
I'm going to pause there. Yeah, just again, home buyers understand that just because we ordered an appraisal, just because we got the appraisal in, the appraisal still has to be underwritten. Just like you get underwritten for your income and your assets and your credit, the actual collateral gets underwritten. And the way that we underwrite collateral is by submitting that appraisal to an underwriter. It's very common and customary for an underwriter to look at an appraisal and have questions or need clarification or need more details At which point you said this appraiser who took the order, who was more than likely out of market and was a little bit in over his head, was like, no, I'm not going to continue doing work. I'm not going to answer your questions or offer clarification. Side note, did he get paid?
He did.
He got paid. Okay, so he got paid, but this appraisal came in drastically low. Like if an appraisal comes in low by 2% or 3%, like that's still, I mean, that's still 20 or 30 grand on a $1.2 million home.
Yeah.
A lot of times we as originators, with the help of realtors and the buyer and the seller renegotiating, we can power right through that.
Yeah, for sure.
You're not going to power through
300,000.
300 grand.
No.
Okay, so what was the next step then? Did you cancel the contract?
So the next step is
or?
we challenged it.
Okay.
I mean, but we challenged it. We gave him comps, like we went through the proper channels, and he was non-responsive.
Okay, so then again, man, I feel like this particular segment, I'm going to slow down a lot. Just know this. If you get a low appraisal, you can challenge them. But if you're going to challenge something, you better have the evidence, right?
Yes.
You better have the data that backs it up. It's not just like, oh, I don't feel like this is fair. It's like, no, you can feel how you want to feel, but prove to me why you think this isn't fair. So you worked with the agents, you worked with the seller, and you all compiled data, and you submitted it saying, I think you're wrong. I think you're missing something, and here's what we think you're missing. And this guy was just like, sorry, like stonewalled you.
Non-responsive, which doesn't happen all the time. I think if you present compelling evidence to an appraiser, that's why I want to make sure that your audience knows, don't be scared to do that, because sometimes they are human beings. Appraisers are human beings, and they do make mistakes. And so sometimes if you miss something, what's an often one is a for sale by owner. That might have not been in the computer system, and the appraiser might have missed that for sale by owner because it wasn't in the computer system. So if you have a for sale by owner that's sold just right down the street, you might have to provide that information to the appraiser, and he might say, oh, I didn't know. He or she might say, I didn't know. Thank you for the information, and then reconsider the value.
Yeah, another valuable lesson to all. I mean, this is real estate agents, lenders, as well as home buyers and home sellers. Appraisers are only as good as the data they have access to.
Correct.
So you're telling me that if a home recently sold for sale by owner, that means it's not in the multiple listing service. It's not in the MLS.
Correct.
That home probably never showed up on Redfin or Zillow.
Right.
And the appraiser might not actually know that this home just recently sold, because in certain areas it may take months before the county records it.
Correct.
So it's not in public record yet, but it also doesn't show up in MLS. However, it's a sale that would actually validate why this home was being bought and sold for the price it was.
Correct.
So I'm guessing, were you all able to order a new appraisal?
We were, only because this appraiser was showing, he just knew. And then now the borrower cannot pay for that second appraisal. The lender has to do that. So we said yes. We understood that in this case, like it was just the appraiser was out of his league. It just wasn't.
So you and your team are going to eat this $700,
Yeah.
and you're going to order another
Yes,
appraisal.
because it was the right thing to do
Okay.
at this point. And so now we've ordered another appraiser, with putting appraisers on our list that from now.
Fool me once, shame on you, right?
Yeah. So now we put local appraisers on our list to choose from. So it came in, I just heard this morning coming in, it came in at 1.4.
Wow. So a $500,000 swing. Now, what does that really tell you about appraisals though, in general? Like, what's our rule of thumb when it comes to appraisals?
It tells me that it's an opinion.
Yeah.
It's an opinion of a price and really truly, and like what I was telling my team today, and my loan partner Greg was like, hey, I'm gonna have to talk to them today and say, hey, the appraisal came in, and I said, listen, you need to tell them that the house is worth what they're willing to pay for it. That is the true thing. I mean, a house is worth with somebody, and so this house is apparently worth 1.1 or 1.2 million, dollars. And it might be worth 1.4 to somebody else. And to that appraiser it was. And to the other appraiser it was only worth 900,000 apparently. So, it's just so interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I think that the biggest lesson though is don't let a low appraisal stop you.
Yes.
Right. There are transactions that a low appraisal will stop you.
Yeah.
But there's so many more that if an appraisal comes in low, it's a professional opinion based on someone's certification, their schooling, and their experience, but it's still a professional opinion. I tell people it's an art, not a science.
Yes.
And
Agreed.
ultimately, a home is worth what you're willing to pay for it. I used to tell my clients this all the time. This appraisal that we did for you, yeah, it's good for about 90 days. And in 90 days, you can use it to line your kid's gerbil crate. Or if you're getting a puppy, it makes good like liner for the puppy's crate.
Agreed.
It truly only got you into the home, but the market's going to move 17 times between today and the end of the year. That your home's going to go up and down in value. You tend to purchase property with a longer mindset, right? 3, 5, or 7 years. It matters more about what's this home worth 3, 5, or 7 years down the road, not 3 months or 6 weeks down the road.
Agreed.
But if you do get a low appraisal, don't freak out and look for ways to either renegotiate or sometimes to offer more details to the appraiser. And in a case like yours, order a new appraisal when it makes sense to.
If you can.
And if you can.
And very rarely are you able to order a second appraiser. Very rarely. I mean, because I think a lot of people just want to hop to that as a go-to. That is really not the. And if it comes in low, maybe that is what the house is worth. Maybe you need to look at the comps and say, you know what? I don't know if I really want to pay this much for this house.
Correct.
You know, so a low appraisal isn't the worst thing in the world. I mean, I know the agents think it's the worst thing in the world, but you know, to the borrower, I always say, well, let's look at the comps. Don't look at just the numbers. Look at what the comps the appraiser used and see if are they comparables. Comps are comparables. A comp is short for comparables. So is it a comparable sale? Or are there other ones that you could provide that were better? Maybe the appraiser did miss something, but I would say more often than not, I would say the appraisers, I have to say for this, that is a really unique case that we just went over. But I would say more often than not, the appraisers are right.
Yeah.
I would say,
would you agree with you.
that?
I would 100% agree with you, Chris. And it's great advice to almost end on. Like a low appraisal shouldn't kill a deal.
No.
But sometimes a low appraisal is what the home is truly worth.
Yes.
At which point the buyer can determine, do I want to pay a little bit over appraised value, understanding that this is a decision for 3, 5, or 7 years, not 3, 5, or 7 months? Or do I want to renegotiate with the seller because I don't want to pay over what something is currently worth in today's market? But it is difficult. It's not just easy to, let's just order a new appraisal.
Yeah, no.
You tend to only be able to do that if you can prove, like you are able to prove, that you had an appraiser who was admittedly saying, I'm the wrong person for the job, who was with his actions showing an unwillingness to participate.
Which never happens.
Next never happens. At which point, it only made sense to order a new appraisal.
Right.
But that new appraisal could have easily come back in at $900,000 or $1 million. It didn't have to come in $200,000 over purchase price.
Correct.
It just so happened to. Chris, if people want to get a hold of you because they love your approach or maybe they have questions regarding their home's value or their current situation where they're dealing with a low appraisal, what's the best way to reach you?
I would just Google me at Christine at the mortgage firm, Christine Wilson at the mortgage firm, and all of my contact information is there. And I would love because there's also a link there to schedule an appointment with me. If you have any questions, that's the best way to get in touch with me.
I love your answer. You're so much like the head coach for the Indiana football team, the national champions.
Just Google me.
It was like, I win. Google me. I love it. Hey, y'all, she is Christine Wilson. I'm Dustin Owen. You just tuned in to talk mortgage to me. If you like this type of content, make sure you give us a subscribe. And if you have questions, feel free to comment below.